Hello, Wethersfield, and nations, intercity, interstates, criminally foreign influence. So we have to talk about this in the holidays because we have interbranch coaching, maintain criminally foreign influence. Them, all they're tied to private in all the areas with offensive evidence reception. Crime rolls originally and still. See, forgiveness was for this. Was this for this too because they have recorded sensibility uses of the identity of ground for the rest of the child offenders with the schools proven forced criminally, but no one's realizing it because it's semi-fake news, misprision, individual roles with the news, grouped and together, maintained also in collusion. Criminally foreign influence with sources like with the Fianza family, recorded and confessed with offensive evidence perception crimes and harassment and identity thefts with on and off the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices, houses next to it, and on off that spot, tied people, and names switching and not letting know. These are foreign and domestic criminally involved, like with a Dillon family. I never had a conversation where they confirmed non-verbally, not for confirmations with people recorded and confessed involved with them, with a Lethe family, a Lombardo family, and with those associated with fire departments, foreign and domestic, criminally being used with their databases, with evidence perception crimes, and with justifications with that from a database illusion stacking, offensive evidence perception crimes, behavior crimes, evil justice, and simultaneous juxtaposed and exploited that way, fake care at the same time. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police force, I'm not criminal, no criminal insidiousness nature. These are also extortion acts, mail crimes, wire crime methods, male and female interbranch leaders, even judges, recording in collusion with interbranch forging names, switching names, switching sequences, attaching me and my family to fake conversations. As a Leahy family, other doctors with badges and police forms recorded and confessed criminally involved with depositions and with child offenders further with crime acts leading up to the 2006 case with the defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, one with a daughter in my grade, associated with a bunch of people, that females that I don't know, tied to a Heather Hansen, recorded and confessed with others, facilitated to crime rolls as a victim predator by adults when she was a kid, put in a eighth grade middle school class, summer school class. I was criminally forced to go to. It was criminally used by having her in there and a Joe DeMauro and a Ray Colo, who's my neighbor, associated with recorded drug clicks with the former and new police chief with his foreign and domestic family criminally involved. People on as them as victim predators, but then per Bob Chase, his extended family members, and per Wethersfield Police, his extended family members like a Phil Cololo and others with Two Broad Highway recorded and confessed sequence shifts roles, identity theft crime roles, drug crime roles with a Dillon family. And with people associated with this Fianza family with fake news crime acts. Their crime roles and confessions also verified online as strangers that also recorded and confessed with a whole bunch of people with those confessions to pretending other for the identity thefts tied to what they're not supposed to admit with the buildings in downtown Hartford. Also, people with associated with this Leahy family and with the Dr. Dingleberry, Dr. Dewberry, pretended conversations to be made offensive confessions. I don't know what they're talking about a what is his name? Casper family. I don't know his sister's name, but Chad Casper and his sister. They're doing that because that's also tied to a gold family, former Mayor Gold and his kids associated with crimes of Washington Trade Center clicks, crimes with child sex offenders, with a forensics place, also a criminal next to campuses using systems, families. Forensics collects various natures of police, state police, doctors, foreign, domestic, criminally involved, and with their families, and with various natures of courts through time leading up to that. They're not letting free speech, and they're attaching everyone to free speech using space crimes, forcing people to their locations so they can use the right to lie to what they don't have the right to. They're recorded doing this with and as healthcare corruption of forms and methods and natures that are also evidence reception rackets maintain criminal foreign influence original still interbranch, and that needed to hide that together, grouped and together and progressively like interbranch recorded forging names, switching names, crime methods and crime acts and crimes natures recorded in cases every day, tied to them with precedents, criminally foreign influence, sick, maintaining intercampuses, identity thefts, and violence, and pretending to be against it, fake care at the same time, juxtaposed, originally still, valuing that having been done, not by accident. This is a trap that was intercultural forged, specifically used color as it, both sides fake, hurt by it. In fact, cheap nature slavery of our founders, not let the sophistication through not even let demonstrated, tactically forsaken and tortured American positions, tactically denatured relationship to nature, to the identity of grounds, inseparable identity of relationships, the body of value, discernment, value, per science actual, which is for the science of what's going to cause positive or negative in relationship to its identity of value progression system perfect. And that's progression's value too. And that's how and this is where prayer is where and how real science was not let voice. State scenarios are victim predators told by sciences of theater exploited. This knew that this forces, this knew and contains our needs to counter forced theater fake care. Each on it's exploitations of it because that's from off campuses within as influences of databases, relationships as teachers, etc. But also from as off campuses investigators that no one understands and can even discern because they're not trained to deal with that. We have experts trained of types of law. And this originally instills bonding types of law, types of motivations, all ulterior from its own, but all affected by what bonded originally instilled everyone to roles, causing more than 99.9% of the crimes caused by the crime method that was denied by all because no one had free speech, because they had crazy database relationships that instead of letting it have it known, we have a criminally foreign influence array it takes on history, all with the same fake sides of recorded criminally foreign influence and delusions wrought fact cheap nature identity of value discernments. So instead of allowing this demonstrated through generations, through lifetimes, not by accident, this is a method keeping that value, keeping everyone pretending they believe things about power that aren't about. Because the power and might are about power, positive and negative. Ground is positive or negative in relationship to Earth's simultaneously distinct and non-distinct relationship to the rest of space. Warehouse is simultaneously finite and overall value to us. because the identity of the overall and the identity of the finite and the identity of all simultaneous nature's value is inseparable from itself at once as a reaction nature beyond but semi like water. That's why Bruce Lee says, be like water. In other words, where and how simultaneous nature and sequence nature is the subject of and as all things, about things. English was revealed to have what's inside and as the identity and identity of relationship to it of itself and the value of it of inside the zero and inside the O shown. English was revealed by an identity of sciences before they were criminally foreign influenced. And then that was valued. That was maintained value. See how we have suits and ties? These are people that are recorded incapable by every modern nation's areas and states in defense of that as fact attributed to quality forced on leaders and as fake sides of dictator that because and as valuing the worst impositions because everyone's was set up. This is a fact treatment nature organized crime method, keeping all correlation nature maintained, like criminally foreign influence, like criminal insidiousness nature, which black and white are together, denying our nature's true course, which is 1,000% native. It's 100%. It is full native and more. It's gaining. It's not even a stagnant, because we are a gaining nature of volume as a quality of diffusion, which is positive or negative to its perfect value progression. So we are the contribution of positive forever nature or of negative forever nature experience to the identity, the complete, to a little bit more of the complete identity coming into existence with our own, with and as the value of our own, where we make it better because we couldn't be what we wanted to be as its system, which is the value of the order of the finite, of the smallest things to show you what is smaller than everything. And as what is active, it is the value of everything that is active, is the identity that is, if it was positive or negative onto it, is what's going to reach positive water, clean water or not. You know what I'm saying? These things. But see, these are tactically fact treatment nature racket ulterior from actual fact value nature systems to be able to maintain exceptions, valued exploited and exploiting them further. In other words, that's not real science. That's why those aren't means we can afford. We have valued housing pathology infrastructure that was forced with the fact treatment nature slavery and torture of our founders. Even in letters, they didn't have free speech. That's why George Washington had to leave overt slavery in Wethersfield. That's why they had James Madison, George Washington. That's why they had their identity stolen, even after they founded a country. It's recorded. It's recorded how it is motivated, all as criminal and seditious nature theater, as victim predators per evaluating nature system that was only realized per a method that is keeping all value to that theater and or her, and the worse. And that's per what is keeping valued, blamed on other causes, and how others not themselves, the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts and natures. is maintained, blamed on other things, is maintained now the standing identity of ground position with a child abuse method that is through generations as one that fits and keeps victim predators with the care of each age. These are not means. So with intercity sickly distinctly, we have tactically denatured relationship to nature as our relationship to each other, as the value of it. And that's unceasingly a relationship to perfect value progression that these markets are tactical ulterior from. Vaccines begun. So in other words, with the principal sex offenders campus, there are further, they forced that at first, with further recorded and confessed police involved with that, interbranch, and their family members. And what motivated is recorded and confessed how DACA is tied to families with Southington and with CCSU criminally involved interages of campuses, intercity, identity thefts, sequence shifting, tied behavior lies, formal, maintained, criminally foreign influence. So we have that sustained so they could sustain uses of behavior. So when you sustain no means for someone of legitimate integrity to defend themselves from identity thefts and from all natures of impositions upon each age of women and of girls, and of boys and girls, further intercampuses, foreign and domestic maintained as a means consciously exploiting how they are knaves in relationship to valuing defenses of sanctions treatments and or of fears that are legitimate in relationship to that, but not legitimately being exploited to maintain roles, natures, and methods with the method of crime that bonded a whole bunch of them originally and still as a whole bunch of fake sides nations. Like for example, before with psychology, this recorded. These are behavioral crimes also recorded tied to how this was originally and still consciously exploiting how there are types of experts, and the experts are relying on experts, and that's with database crimes originally and still not allowed demonstrated per freedom of speech thefts, identity thefts, per what's keeping everyone motivated to see who could note that. For example, down to a guy with a quarter in a shopping cart with a store next to where the Wethersfield Police Station is now, tied to further child offenders, interbranch and foreign and domestic, juxtaposed with that, and overt criminal enterprises recorded further criminally involved with the town offices, and with the library, and with the Smith family, associated also with a Pierce family. That a woman I never reacted to her conversation that implied I knew what she was talking about, and she's recorded and confessed involved with the rest of the sex offenders associated that were used to force that sustained at first, and further with the campuses. They're also recorded consciously misprision, saying they're against and pretending to be concerned about and against things like their roles with sex offenders and drug crimes, and with on and off the middle school and the private school next to it. And this is through time with their criminal uses of intercity, each age of campuses. And what comes together is their notions of what culture is, which is identity nature's perfect value progression. They're consciously hurting also with database crime methods. Anyone not conformed to criminal insidiousness nature uses of all types of groupthink, worse than groupthink, and of forced, you know, not let demonstrated criminally foreign influenced pseudo unity narratives, theater narratives being exploited by other natures of crime roles, and that are manifest also within as roles that that created that are the identity of what is manifest per rules rackets per lie progression cover up nature roles that were cultivated from a base propagated to keep that valued self cultivated and that maintained from criminal foreign influences per this method not sourced by one nation's specifically to keep each modern nation as one identity of negative value nature progression, valuing it as fact treatment nature, valuing sanctions, valuing fears to defend roles with identities only let realize that progress if they're gonna exploit and deny the exploitation of and the criminal foreign influence uses of expertly of what Bond did to keep everyone that way measured fake database relationship predators not allowing criminal uses of databases to exploit each age of fact treatment nature from being demonstrated. There was never integrity with each science in semi-ancient times. And then came modern religions about this great. And then came modern nations through native value, originally and still law's value, forsaken. Science's value, forsaken. The sciences share an identity, which is as a complete identity, it is simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature relationship to values nature, perfect progression. Allah is a term of science with the Trinity. The Trinity is about the three semi-natures as three complete natures simultaneously, non-distinctly and distinctly the same way as Allah. This is what revealed English. The value of Latin statutes is because the value of English together is only positive or negative. And how the ancients revealed that, you have to have, just the value of it. In other words, just being a prison, you don't have integrity. You know what I'm saying? So you need to have those Latin statutes, and you have to have statutes amended with English too, like in relationship to what the volume of right to left Arabic is about. At the same time, distinctly and non-distinctly with the spelling of Allah, as English spelling of Allah, distinctly and non-distinctly left to right. And this is about the top of the Z and the bottom of the Z, simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly as value to us at the same time, which is the value of our bond as a species, as couples, as sexes. The reason sexes are manifest is because this is the nature of our volume's demonstration to us of its nature and individual. And we're supposed to see and discern this science is only value when it's individual rights first. Otherwise, there's sequence shifting. There's uses of power to force space relationships, to use the stream of courts to force people to courts each day criminally, forging names, switching names into branch. Force people because they need to hide lie progressions. They need to hide their actually recorded natures in relationship to criminal foreign influences, relationship to Trade Center predicate acts, Connecticut crimes with Russians, not even deniable, with psychology, with psychologists with badges, with physical delusions, identity theft, forging names, switching names, drug crime roles, right where the only people to counter such are. People are being used with the women and their whole families in those places, using that to just in conjunction with area rumors and stuff like spread fake conversations with someone with the interbranch drug clicks and family members too, foreign and domestic, overt criminal enterprise juxtaposed not by accident with our little areas through time. So if you ever hear of me, I did things or something like that. That those they attach lies to truths. They make up total ones. Because whenever I did that, is in reaction to this same facilitated roles each year of my life and of other people's lives. There are people every day covering up what they did formerly, interbranch and all that private tied to them because of their roles with criminal foreign influences, with methods and natures of crime that are the same. They're just other methods and other motivations for crime roles and to get away with it against people. That's why it's so important to understand the identity thefts, why they put color in, consciously knowing how it would unfold, what made them motivated to that, to such for organized crime. That's where we're have to see with the New York Game, the Burroughs book, the 5 phases, but everyone's slowing it down because everyone's too slow. Because everyone disbelieves. We have the rights to fit everyone in and to for free, even making money with it, and to claim this a tactically denatured relationship to nature, modern nations, and afford means to a scale of infrastructure and a nature of infrastructure with a relationship to the identity of ground that is juxtaposed with now the identity of water at the same time and of life and things like that for a reason. So we can see with the difference of what gains positive, the semi nature of its identity as ours, as positive, also positive unto itself, as temporary slash lasting at the same time right now, as a quality of diffusion. This is Trinity is also about temporary positive, temporary slash lasting positive. You can even try to invent temporary slash positive. You can make inventions going to work or not. Temporary slash positive. That invention can be either further positive or negative. We're to see this Trinity, which is value slash value nature relationship to itself as an effects nature, within where and how, and as a little bit more of the identity of each person, of each finite value, is coming into our nature as a gaining nature quality of value, simultaneously with a little bit more of the complete identity of all things coming through our identity at the same time. A little bit more of it, a little bit more of itself, and a little bit more of positive as our identity made here, or as negative as our identity forced here for the perfection of overall value nature's perfect progression somewhere else. And then also as negative value nature, Lethe of Hades, force space nature and transfer. So what is nature? Nature's identities of nature is identity of relationship to itself, recorded consciously. People with gay groups caring about them as our nature of value, that they're being used the same way criminal enterprises are, the same way Fox News is with crimes with Los Solitos, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, coached abuses of juxtaposed natures of each age of fact treatment nature, mixed natures of fake news crime acts, natures pretending not to realize that, nature's identity thefts, forcing these offensive evidence identity theft crime acts, coached roles, sexually abusing the youngest girls and their family members. They're also recorded with fake YouTube pages pretending to be me, with the pictures taken from the fake news, like with one with a name too that says Ranima Mansour's new lover. Makes it looks like a passion card because they're not letting me report what is recorded also behind these shootings as the defenses to it, because it's the same crime methods where they have Miss Prisian tied private, needing to hide intercampuses crime rolls, facilitated originally and still per method recorded how intercampuses through time. I didn't understand what people, when strangers in sixth grade were affected to make confessions to me about a Lance Cuddy who never went to school with me, and about a place on Park Street. And then that was in sixth grade. This is a campus of children, also with campus near that place on Park Street, and both ends of that campus, also with police with a Planned Parenthood, and with across the street from it, like a workout place, criminally involved through times, to bear with the sensibilities of agencies of their family members with titles, where and as and how, again, titles are being exploited because they're defending that, where and as and how this is a crime method maintaining criminal foreign influences by maintaining exploitations of how everyone has all these other ulterior motives and agenda, and needs to pretend other motives and agenda, other complete motivations, where and as and how overt criminal enterprises unrealized one's private and interbranch and all the private tied to them, do need to hide the same finite active body of value and progressive lies, identity theft lies, physical delusions, fake sciences, crime roles preventing that from being demonstrated. See, that's needed to hide each age of fact keeping nature, needed to hurt correlation nature, which is Trinity. Valuing and needing value fake sides of Trinity's identity, fake middle, recorded criminally foreign influence, and recorded juxtaposed physical delusions propagated intersciences, consciously maintained theater criminal insidiousness nature. Originally and still. That's what they put the color in there for, knowing they were overt criminal enterprise /S that were intercultural already. There are proofs that a negative value nature progression, that everyone identity of negative value nature progression, and all liars valuing fake sciences and roles as fact nature as that needed to take away the pyramids, need to tactically denature nature, because our nature itself would have demonstrated criminally foreign influence nature of internation science's volume and value of that volume here. And that means body of value, fact cheaping nature, science fake here. Finite value, individuals hurt here, enslaved. Fact cheaping nature, slavery was original and still, because we don't have free speech. We have fake news with interbranch, forging names, switching names, forcing people to the presence of themselves and of people tied to them for criminal ends, as means to keep stacking databases with illusions and opinions overall, recorded physical delusions wrought, again, sequence shifting, tied behavior crimes, pretended integrity that is non-existent, interbranch crimes, natures of election crimes, recorded pretending to roles and natures being invested, pretending to be against such when there are recorded consciously furthering it. They're just quoting standards. They're valuing standards recorded originally in still criminally foreign influence, precedents, criminally foreign influence, trick fact cheating nature rackets. These are space rackets that are valuing each age of fact cheating nature. Hurt because we have interbranch and all that private tied to them. Intercampuses needing to hide from the substance of how they have their kids, needed to hide their own live progressions and fake integrity against people with real integrity. And they don't let they're forcing violence too with the sequence shifts and with everyone forced to speak through others and to ignore the theater with this. Criminal uses of black in town. Note there are how many black, hardly any black people. And this is where George Washington had to leave slavery right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. And recorded the only black people that I ever met in town, intercity, interbranch, have crime acts roles with KKK themed child sex offenders cliques, drug cliques, identity theft cliques, crime acts roles with illusions, with doctors with badges, with those with crimes with the sex offenders, with military, foreign, and domestic. Recorded how this was facilitated for them. That's why they make confessions to me about that places when I was in high school out of nowhere. I don't know what they were talking about. And demonstration one time too with Joe DeMore and Ray Colo involved with recorded confessed involved crimes with the Dillon family and Mendez Police and other police like the Domain brothers and their family recorded confessed involved with John Mayall and people with fake news crime acts of various natures of crimes, attaching me and other kids to fake relationships to doctors. These are doctors who are on and off campuses spreading lies with their interbranch drug cliques of various natures of courts criminally involved. These are also people interstate criminally involved, facilitated to criminal involvement, to sexual circles and stuff like that with the trade center cliques, criminally involved with the trade center attack context. And as the people recorded criminally involved with crime acts with intercampuses, coordinated, facilitated, orchestrated, tied, fake ties to me in databases put by deans also influenced to forge and switch names per their roles with criminals leading up to a 2006 case that as federal criminal co-defendants of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, defendant Robert Luskin, and his lawyer, and people associated with various natures of courts with the depositions used criminally. In the deposition, with them pretending things were not to realize things that were proven that had been proven, tied to them recorded and confessed, spreading lies about criminal enterprises through grammar school kids, with and as interbranch families, with it, where and how investigations maintain, stay needed, manifest, that's being valued and used for what really is furthering the overt criminal enterprises to maintain exploitations of intercultural collusion with crime methods to areas tied to databases, interbranch, intercampuses, and private, and live progressions with that, and with crime methods in it that are used to self-value, roles maintained criminally foreign influence from abroad, but not sourced by one nation, and already criminally foreign influenced, semi, and complete the branches of and as each modern nation, the histories of each as each modern nation, so reception of ourselves, criminally foreign influence, delusions, raw, intersciences, including history. I'll tell no lies. That's why George Washington had to come to Wethersfield, this town, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. That's why we have the state judicial branch officers recorded, confessed, involved with crimes with the Faenza family, crimes with the WFSB, with child sex offenders, with child drug collects, foreign and domestic criminal foreign influences roles with fire departments intercity, interbranch police forms, in private police forms, interstates, Washington, Trade Center, DACA, other used to facilitate what is manifest, shared policing of things like nuclear, like threats with all that, with the biological hazards, chemical hazards at Hartford Hospital, at various other hospitals, intercity, and Hartford too, criminally involved. Identity thefts, attaching people that are never even in these hospitals to those hospitals. Uses of wire crime methods recorded tied to triages used criminally with psychologists, foreign and domestic, in collusion like Russians and Americans with the Trade Center predicate acts clicks. Attaching me to fake conversations about agencies, forging names to do it, forging other doctors' names. That's confessed propaganda. Then they deny these things. Then they pretend people make allegations when they're not allowing crime acts to hold. Sequence shifts, too. Fabrications, interbranch, forging names, switching names, stealing identities with fake news at the same time so no one can have a means to counter, making confessions about how this is affected by the people in the court and their family members through time, what motivated their roles for crime acts, proven with a sequence shift, proven after post hand delivered on time stamped in the Ninth Circuit. Then on the day of the Trade Center attack, post dated documents were shown to the panel of judges. Then the Trade Center attack that day. Then that was proven that there was post dating documents from inside. The whole court had been affected. Was also recorded and confessed further involved with all kinds of other crimes with federal criminals and people associated with people that with database crimes in the campuses I went to growing up that were facilitated to that specifically to maintain through time criminally foreign influence interbranch cliques and private associated with them needing to hide the same lie progressions, finite active body of value and progressive value lies, identity thefts, intercity crimes that are worse than interstates, also military, also many ways associated with cross automotive and with places with houses around Samuel Dick's house recorded and confessed involved with the database crimes, CCSU crimes, with crimes with all various natures of identities with the courts criminally involved through time with identity thefts, fake sides of fact treatment nature, criminal uses of lawyers for them being directed to treat types of law as illusions, stacking of implied pretended relationships between people, pretended legitimacy to between fake sides, recorded consciously to exploit that, and fake middles, physical delusions with that too, juxtaposed consciously into sciences. So we have victim predators with jobs of sciences as semi-natures of science, as negative value nature consciously to keep the lie progressors, cover up natures and styles, saying that this is their job, that their roles with natures of slavery, with lying about and hurting and preventing crime acts from being demonstrated upon each city, upon whole, not just against innocent people with prisons, not just against their we see how they have what's his name? Because the court is with crimes with drugs, with doctors, and crimes with child sex offenders, identity thefts, torture methods that were original still, physical delusions with psychology. They drug people in prisons every day. They have a kid drugged near Highcrest School associated. They're doing that to hide lie progressions also with Yukon policing, foreign and domestic, criminally involved, with the Hanson family, with the news, with what is it called? experts on the news, like telling them how to demonstrably telling them needing to hide lie progressions per the nature of how they share policing that doesn't give its positions away. But see, that is pretended integrity when it's not. No one's watching there. And that was originally and is still being used for crime acts that are maintained criminally foreign influence that are completely fact cheap in nature, predicate acts, and natures of crimes like sequence shifts and the fabrications, behavior crimes that go along with that. Needed to pretend titles mean what they don't, because they're also extorting anyone to either rolls with this, with each nature of industry, or not, don't do it. There are people associated with police shooting with a Chris White, recorded and confessed, involved crimes with FBI families, further involved with the federal criminals, involved with kids through time, now as adults, involved with child sex offenders, and as them already proven, with the schools, but further. And see, this is explaining how we have shared policing with psychology with Russians and Americans, where they have physical delusions. Again, behavior crimes, where they have their own the behavior experts defending that is with and as criminal foreign influence nature, as criminal insidiousness natures originally and still. That's how our each modern nation's agencies fail to explain what slavery is. They fail to liberate our free speech. They fail to liberate states and areas' rights to religions by keeping them pretended value and instead entrench states and areas where they're not supposed to be, only to so they could keep the Constitution abridged and other pretended. That's what they did. Slavery was still entrenched because I'll tell no lies. If George Washington said it or not, that's why he had to leave overt slavery in Wethersfield, Connecticut, CT, Cherry Tree. They didn't have free speech. There was that wasn't England. It's a truth. It's a fact that England was the identity of this colony only as a lie, only with physical delusions juxtaposed with it, only as a semi-nature truth. Because there was a whole bunch of nations, see suits and ties, that were forced to be identities as knaves and pretend that and to value what was entrenched here, a breaching organized crime method with slavery. That was a formal behavior crime as fake passion. As fake care, as simultaneously juxtaposed sick, hurt, offensive evidence reception predators, fake justice, fake positive. Positive is a trinity. It's what's already positive ground. It's simultaneously positive further and further and further to what is active body of value discernment, and simultaneously what is further progression's value or not. We are locked into an identity of ground relationship that causes Lethe of Hades so we can discern this. But we're in a value nature system that can't afford it to counter the actively denatured relationships to nature. That's the problem with the cities, with the shootings originally through lifetimes. That's the problem where fake care was never allowed to be apparent for the forsaken in mass. And what justifies that values, other nations stuck that way too. Because its job was told to just say, forget about it. It's a sick world. You know what I'm saying? Every position, because that states and areas forcing that up. And that's forced down because that's in collusion with forces that only let realized value of Trade Center, other nations' equivalents, and Washington, other nations' equivalents, shared roles with agreements with market positions like with um, drug stocks, social security rackets, influence per their standing defenses of their positions used for other natures of crimes. They're using Medicare crimes, all kinds of natures of drug crime roles and motivations recorded showing that nations' agencies are furthering the drug crimes, the overt criminal enterprises with them, because they're really they're valuing and needing to keep their crimes and natures and roles with what is bonding a whole bunch of natures and crimes and liars and exploiting types of crimes experts that not allowing demonstration of that being criminally used. So they need to get caught and to have people get caught and to get for abuses of kids. Even pretend, and then if you try to report it, they do wire crime acts if because they get caught because the interbranch people are recorded originally and still through time, confessing, demonstrating, and recording how their maintained criminally foreign influence needed to hide life progressions, hide their roles with criminal foreign influence, overt criminal enterprises, unrealized ones, juxtaposed with the branches, offensive evidence perception predators, and needs to maintain illusions with that, lies with that, identity theft roles with that, indifference to that, valuing that as fake integrity and value, as valuing a world that's so sick originally, and still so people would say, "Oh, that." They blame on other causes, other things, and on selves. That's it. That was anticipated before the spot. That's what they grew with those sick laws with color, not just with color, with anything you could say, not with just with torture, not just with extortion, not just with fact cheating nature slavery, with the employment of that to invested value roles valuing it per tactically ulterior than actual value nature system slash value nature systems tactical ulterior, because anything ulterior than this one of as the value of the campus Marcius slash Marcius simultaneous nature. Anything other causes Lethe of Hades, negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. So rather than let a real, free, and great holiday, they use the holidays to keep the sensibilities per crime method interfamilies through a Walters family through time that maintain them as victim predators now with child sex offenders. Crime rolls with Washington, with houses in my area with various natures of police forms, overt criminal enterprises, and the witness protection program, and interbranch online rape threats, online sexual abuses, identity thefts of women and of kids, attaching them to fake relationships to others, secret crimes with I didn't mean to be rude to the person, a big strong person associated reportedly with WWE and stuff like that, associated with the CCSU, inter branch, inter parties, in other words, interbranch police forms, private tied to them, criminal foreign influence crime acts roles. So I had behavior crimes. That was maybe not the right way to respond because they're forcing me no response to their identity theft acts each place I go. with the crime method, not just against me, it's against everyone. And it's recorded consciously, making sure no one has correlation nature of integrity. They're originally and still maintaining areas and states and intersciences, intercampuses, criminal foreign influences, opinion natures, criminally foreign influence, through criminal foreign influences of all locations, even of AT&T, criminal foreign influence database relationships. No one wants to hear this said. All the online platforms, criminal foreign uses, criminal uses of their database, relationships and sensibilities as weapons, preventing free speech, further enforcing identity thefts, behavior crimes, forcing the interpretations of crimes wrong as means to criminally prevent demonstration of interbranch police and leaders retired and standing criminally involved with lie progressions, with nature's criminally foreign influence, effectively, originally and still. It's worse than mission creep and then groupthink. This is an organized crime method. I'll tell no lies. That's what George Washington wants us to do. Allow real care, simultaneous real justice, which is real care at the same time as release. Wants correlation nature, real science to demonstrate why we really can't afford to use whatever we have to make better than even suburbs. What Hartford's stuck in. Sick. No, it's not debatable, but with lies and delusions and with criminal foreign influences. That's why that's valued formally. Because that's what they need to do, make overall allegations against people like me when we're trying to point to the specific crime acts, sequence shifts, identity theft crime acts, fake news crime acts, fake conversation with me, sequence shifts, identity theft, predicate acts rules, with that used to cover up trade center crimes, interbranch forging names, switching names, threatening me and each age of girls and women not to say anything for crime methods of courts recorded. Then making confessions, hiding that, hiding crime, predicate act rules, women with courts, the same ones that are every day. I wouldn't want to put, same ones every day, putting people in jails. Those jails recorded how motivated, maintained, raised, needed to hide lie progressions. Also, they recorded and confessed knowing that each age of fact-achieving nature wants to assimilate and have a good relations with other peoples. They're using their crimes with the interbranch in the areas simultaneously, semi and completely, originally and still maintained the collusion with each other. Everyone maintaining Trinity sabotage, fake sides of Trinity, fake middle, physical delusions juxtaposed, criminal foreign influences. All areas, victim predators, that being exploited. It's recorded, confessed, how innocent people proven innocent and recorded further innocent are not let defend people that are also innocent, that are set up, and that are also not as guilty as they pretend. Per criminally foreign influence precedents recorded, sickly used and exploited, recorded, how motivated. Forgiveness was for this, fake branches fall. For you, free wall, free speech. WFSBs recorded and confessed, involved with terror methods of faking news and then using their integrity as pretended to have a whole bunch of strangers torture me and prevent me from countering from and with a whole bunch of other people using methods, forging and switching names interbranch. Recorded and confessed and demonstrated that they make up things recorded, that they'll sexually abuse your kids, hurt them. Look, they make people end up dead because they're sick with every value formally. They have criminal uses of tiger cubs and of Cub Scouts, in relationship to unfoldings with how they're going to consider what people should be in blast classes together, for crime methods on and off campuses perfected with fake care, juxtaposed as sick justice, juxtaposed as identity theft, crime acts roles, all bonded fake sides of fact treatment natures maintained to live as valuing live progressions. That's where we have the same box. We have recorded wire crime methods, mail crime methods, space crime methods, because now they need to use crime methods where they can pretend things are recorded and not pretend not to understand me. I'm asking Hardcrest School and people on Meadowgate and with streets next to it to respond for the rest of the recorded and confessed crime acts roles with overt criminal enterprises and with police forms in the area, and with foreign domestic military and families associated criminally involved. Criminal uses of titles. O'Brien's criminal uses of the sensibilities of the two women. Also, I don't know if lesbian or sisters or what. Also, criminal uses of gay people. Sensibilities pretended that hurting people for trying to demonstrate that being used for criminal roles with the principal sex offenders campus further, on and off campus with it, for intercampuses facilitated, criminally involved, per CCSU. CCSU demonstrated, confessed, and recorded that they have criminal uses of the sensibilities of a Kevin Knisl's sister. I never had a conversation with her in my life. Kevin Knisl's, I explained too, I barely know him too. Rick Sanfayel, recorded and confessed, involved criminally after he graduated high school. I never had anything to do with him in high school. That he was criminally involved with a Fred Gruzet, who was recorded and confessed involved with crimes with Mendez brothers, attaching me to a fake location that I was never in. Crimes, identity thefts, all kind of drug crime roles with Yagmans and with Fred Gruzet, confessed and recorded with crimes with them. Others I had nothing to do with houses around the high school that had people that went to other schools that were involved with identity theft with the people in my school and with the DACA clicks. Also recorded, confessed, criminally involved with Southington with identity theft, people I never met, with the crimes with the CCSU crime roles. Also with Newtown too, where Sandy Hook is, where also a prison is, with O'Brien family, and the people recorded and confessed with other natures of child abuses roles, offensive evidence perception crime roles, criminal uses of sensibilities of girls and of each age in relationship to whatever is all the different various natures of things, criminal uses of the corners of both ends of the principal sex offenders campus and of houses next to the other schools further criminally involved, and his further criminally involved. Also, male and female judges forging names, switching names, crime acts roles, attaching me to a fake arresting officer ties to a Detective Samuda, recorded and confessed, involved crimes with black and white female judges, crimes with KKK themed, Confederate flag themed, sexual offenders interbranch, sequence shifts to hide that came before that, and then with that. And that was also intercampuses crime acts roles, recorded, confessed also by Wethersfield Police. Also crime acts roles with them, with federal criminals, and with police forms with foreign and domestic with local 230, and with intercity, with this all natures of like fire departments, EMS clicks, criminally involved with confessions when they were in high school as strangers, I don't know, tied to the body dumping spot of a serial killer, real or made up. The person in the article recorded and confessed crimes with a child sex offender interbranch click, foreign and domestic doctors, crimes further recorded and confessed, pretended care recorded and confessed regarding it, Miss Prisian saying saying things that show that they're pretending to be against what they're also recorded saying they're further for, which is further on off the Southstein Middle School crime acts rolls with child sex offenders, drug clicks, crimes with databases clicks, identity theft clicks, associated with Hartford Hospital, many families there associated criminally, foreign and domestic, criminally involved. Robert Rodriguez and tied my new and past neighbors, tied crime rolls facilitated to them by military, foreign, and domestic associated on and off CCSU, Trinity College, predicate acts, interstate crime acts rolls, narratives, slanders, formally facilitated, maintained criminally foreign influence. That's why we have direct and indirect criminal uses of the witness protection program in the area. We have a Joshua Schumacher, or no, Joshua Julian. Joshua Schumacher's got a mother and other interbranch police families criminally involved with criminal uses of the Wethersfield Police Department and on Facebook pages for their roles with sex crime acts, then crime acts and cases, interbranch forging names, switching names to do that, to hide that per their trade center crime acts roles, and predicate acts, mail crimes, forging names of doctors. This is serious, and there's no way to say they're criminally pretending that they want that people are cooperating with them or not, as means to lie, but to pretend things are recorded. I never had anything to do with the Eric Mendez. And a number of people recorded and confessed in New Britain Superior Court, recorded and confessed him involved with their sexual crime acts and spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises through kids, recorded with Joshua Julian. Identity theft crime acts, fake ties to me. Also, people associated with wrestling coaches and with coaches of teams that I never had conversations with personal. Recorded, confessed, used to facilitate pretended integrity to crime acts and cases and within databases, identity theft, crime methods. Also recorded and confessed many ways criminally involved with uses of sequence shifts of a John Wyano, and of them having had me stay back, recorded and confessed per Washington and Trade Center families used criminally, and them having pretended that they thought I needed to stay back criminally, and they had the counters if I demonstrated. So I let them take positions with that, which the next year they recorded, confessed, and demonstrated how that and how further, which I understand further now, that was criminally involved with them, confessed, recorded, demonstrated, criminally involved with police forms in my area, criminally involved with overt criminal enterprises, drugs with kids, now with untimely deaths that brought up the child sex offenders, criminal uses of the sensibilities of news, telling people to make fun of people, spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises and with interbranch families. We have a judge, male and female judges, recorded lying to the family members of kids that they forced the sexual abuses of not let told on, and further per interbranch forging names, switching names, crime uses of space where if you go into the police station they'll attach you to fake reality, fake recorded things. If you try an interbranch, they have a Gold family, and they have Luigi and his sister recorded and confessed involved with the police chief's family and his extended family, all kinds of natures of crime acts and persuasions of the sensibilities of people with the English department of CCSU through time and of other interdepartments. See, these are people that don't realize what they confess. Because we have sustained originally still sick branches. So these are also people crimes with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso and with UPS clicks, foreign and domestic influences over UPS, FedEx. I don't know if they brought up the FedEx confessions with the corner of with the Pakistani kids
associated with the corner of Town Line Drive in the mobile, recorded and confessed involved with the military identity theft families and other natures of crimes with the foreign and domestic associated with downtown Hartford clubs, with a Chad Casper, with a Charlie Bowles. I never had class with, never had anything to do with Charlie Bowles, and that's downtown Hartford. Many other with the club Blue, and with the owner of a club recorded and confessed. They all recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that they were federal crime rolls with a Dillon family, and with on-off CCSU crimes with men and women used for offensive evidence perception crimes, pretended knowing me before they did, and at all on-off CCSU through time with the ages of campuses used criminally, because these are kept original lie progressions with all interbranch, intercampuses, all database relationships, lie progressions, identity theft roles, needs, and natures. For the organized crime method, that's why I have to do the counter theater late. I don't have time to do it. I don't have time being extorted because they're not giving me a person to sue, because they're forging and switching names into branch, because the various courts are criminally involved. They're defending integrity they don't have. They're not letting crime acts be reported. They're not letting recorded criminal uses of evidence perception. Crime methods pretending they didn't see what they saw, that they didn't confess what they confessed, that isn't recorded what is actually recorded, because they're pretending other things are recorded, because they were painted into corners, criminally foreign influence. So it's important to understand that and how they only let family members hurt each other or be indifferent to and valuing fake sides of correlation nature, fake middle, fake care, fake. I hope that goes back. That was about. So, anyway, they have criminal uses of Saudis. They're forcing, you know, they're only going to allow criminal uses of Saudi families in America as fake prejudice against them, and then uses of other ones for collusion with them, already criminally foreign influence, fake patriotism natures by pretending pretending prejudice, stuff like that. How we have criminally foreign influenced military police, especially criminally foreign influenced private prison police, criminal justice careers, training of them. Intercampus is nuts, all fake, all fake science natures, physical delusions, criminal foreign influence sciences. Can't defend their fact treatments and also at the same time. I just remind, I can't believe I have no hair. I don't know what happened. So I'm prepared before I lose all my hair. I'm being extorted too. Per recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminal uses of each of the locations of boxing in Connecticut per interbranch military criminal uses of on-off CCSU and families associated with boxing that have nothing to do with it, and families that are associated with boxing through amateur. They're not fighters though, but they're keeping the rest of it, the business of it, used criminally. They're using the fact treatment nature for offensive evidence perception crimes, identity theft crimes, sequence shifts. Forced, if you entertain stuff, they hurt you one way. If you counter, they don't. They hurt you another way. If you counter with equal aggression, but this is the aggression of courts being manifest with their uses of with their hiding their need to hide their crime acts criminal uses of all that private associated with them everywhere they go. To hide how they were hiding lies with cases, with crime methods and natures in courts, various natures of courts, facilitated originally and still to collusion, facilitated to it, knowing everyone would have to keep blaming others and others themselves for the causes of it because no one understood that. And that would be valued more and more. So that's how they really built the motivations for roles with things sick like slavery, for the behavior crimes, pretending to be about science and not letting demonstrated how everyone was fake sides of correlation, nature's Trinity. Fake value of sequence nature is fake value of the simultaneous nature that is value. The identity of what shows it's positive or negative. What's going to gain our value here as the Santa Claus is value. Or it's going to force it away from here, Lethe of Hades. Force space nature transfer. Tell of things. Boxing. Now, but I'll move on my head. It's all prepared. Yes.